Isopropylphenidate, or IPPH, is a stimulant with a structure fairly close to methylphenidates. It's almost exclusively functional with its activity. People receive next to no recreational effects from the substance, primarily making it good for working and studying. The positives include stimulation, mood elevation, increased focus, increased motivation, and increased talkativeness. Among the potential negatives are increased heart rate, increased blood pressure, jaw tension, insomnia, dry mouth, and anxiety. The drug really doesn't offer much in the way of euphoria or other recreational effects, and all of its effects are described as relatively subtle compared to a lot of other stimulants. Although it can help put you in a more motivated, productive mindset, simply sitting around on the drug is not going to feel especially good. It can offer some mood elevation and make boring tasks more enjoyable, but that's about it. For some users, it's good for talking, though this effect varies, with others preferring to work, not talk. The mental state it generates is typically clear-headed, making it easy to remain focused. As long as you use a reasonable amount, it should be easier to focus on a single task. If you use too much, task switching can become an issue. The focus it offers seems less likely to include prominent tunnel vision than other stimulants, and it's therefore easier to break away from tasks. IPPH is a fairly relaxed stimulant in the way it feels physically. Usually, you won't need to move around, sweating is not significant, and the cardiac activity is not highly noticeable. Vasoconstriction could be present, though rarely uncomfortable. Jaw tension, like with other stimulants, can occur, and its appetite suppression may be less significant than with methylphenidate or amphetamines. As long as you take a common dose, it can offer caffeine level focus enhancement and productivity largely without the somatic jitteriness. Your psychological status may change somewhat, such as by becoming more easily aggravated, and it can raise anxiety, decrease anxiety, or have no impact on that measure. There's been a bit of interest among users, and even among some researchers, in using IPPH as a new ADHD medication. A lot of users say it feels at least as useful as methylphenidate for that indication. Since it's almost exclusively functional with its activity, even at strong doses, it could feel better than some existing medications. Its lack of somatic effects and speediness could make it a pretty good option for some people, as long as studies support its safety and efficacy. Because of its effect profile, some people have already jumped to using it daily or near daily. I don't recommend this since we lack a lot of information about the substance, but it seems fair to say it's one of the better methylphenidate alternatives to come out of the research chemical market. It could be lacking in some of the strong pro-motivation effects offered by other stimulants, but it's often still adequate. The come down is usually mild. Unsurprisingly, there are some reports of temporary low energy, low mood, increased agitation, insomnia, and headache. When taken orally, it lasts 3 to 5 hours and has an onset of 30 to 45 minutes. Intranasally, it lasts 2 to 4 hours and has an onset of 2 to 10 minutes. IPPH is a member of the phenidate class of compounds, which are all esters of ritelinic acid and its analogs. The most notable member of this class is methylphenidate. IPPH differs from methylphenidate by the substitution of an isopropyl moiety in place of a methyl moiety. The drug functions as an NDRI, meaning it blocks the reuptake of dopamine and norepinephrine. By blocking their reuptake, there's an increase in the functional concentrations of each. Compared to methylphenidate, it has significantly less impact on norepinephrine, pushing it closer to a pure dopamine reuptake inhibitor. This could potentially reduce its wakefulness effects, but it may also reduce some of the physical negatives, like cardiovascular stimulation. Like with methylphenidate, the primary metabolite of IPPH is ritelinic acid, which is formed via the action of CES1. IPPH seems to be a poorer substrate for CES1, and it may therefore have a slower metabolism, contributing to its lower dose range. Orally, a light dose is 5 to 15 milligrams, a common dose is 15 to 30 milligrams, and a strong dose is 30 to 40 milligrams. Intranasally, a light dose is 5 to 10 milligrams, a common dose is 10 to 20 milligrams, and a strong dose is 20 to 30 milligrams. IPPH was described in the literature by 1961. In an early paper, the drug was suggested to be more resistant to metabolism than methylphenidate. Essentially, nothing happened with the drug until the 2010s. In 2012, it was discussed in a patent from John Markowitz of the Department of Pharmacotherapy and Translational Research at the University of Florida. The patent highlighted its possible utility in the treatment of ADHD and fatigue-related disorders, and it covered the use of IPPH as a treatment for ADHD in children, adolescents, and adults. The substance showed up in the research chemical market in the 2010s. The EU's early warning system was first notified about its presence in March 2015, when it was detected in the UK. By that time, a drug checking organization in the UK had received 7 samples of IPPH. They were all white powders, and the route of administration was listed as intranasal. It was subjected to a temporary class drugs order the following month. Currently, it's still a member of the research chemical market. In the US, the drug is uncontrolled at the federal level, though you should always verify your state's laws. In Australia, it's uncontrolled at the federal level. In Canada, IPPH is a Schedule III drug as an analog of methylphenidate, and in the UK, it's a Class B substance. Because it is a research chemical, we don't have much information about its safety. It's best to take common doses, infrequently, and without combinations. An overdose could conceivably raise your risk of seizure, and it could also cause cardiovascular complications. Those with pre-existing cardiovascular issues are best off avoiding it. As of September 2017, no fatalities associated with IPPH have shown up in the literature. Some of the risky combinations include other stimulants, psychedelics, and tramadol. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. You can also email me. The Drug Classroom is exclusively funded by donations. Listeners like you make TDC possible. If you want to support, you can do so through Patreon, PayPal, or Bitcoin.